Okay, everyone. With all of this ADOS talk and everyone talking about where they come from and finding out about themselves, there's a lot of people confused about where they come from and who they are. Some people think they're Indian. Some people say they. If you ask the average black person, they'll tell you, I'm all kind of things. But how many of us actually sit down with our elders and talk about where we come from? Now, I sat down with my grandfather. I sat down with my grandfather, and I sat down with my great aunt, and I discussed with them about the origins of my family from as far back as they know. Now, one thing I will say is that I found out that they didn't really know much either. They knew the basic preliminary things. So, in the next few minutes, you're going to find out a little bit more about my history and my connection with the ADOS. Enjoy. And now I want to ask my auntie, who was my grandmother's sister, about what she knows about, maybe my grandmother's, where she grew up at, and also like about her parents.
Well, your grandmother, I think they was her and my brother that passed. They
Okay.
were 1 and 2 when they moved to St. Louis.
Okay.
So other than that, all I could tell you about your grandmother's dad's name, and
Okay.
that's what, and you could tell his name was George Scott,
George Scott. Okay.
and that's why your uncle called. That's where the George comes from.
Okay.
And
Okay.
his name about cause your grandma gave him her dad's first name.
Okay.
Since she never knew him. She don't
Okay.
know nothing about her daddy's side of people.
Okay.
So
All right. So, do you know what her dad or her mother did?
no.
Okay.
Now I could have found that out, but when for my mother passed, she could
Okay.
have told. She told me. She just told me. I mean, when she was talking about, cause like you,
Okay.
everybody wants to know where
Where
they
they come-
passed, why
yeah.
they came. Where
Can
they
you tell me a little bit more about Big Mama?
Oh, what you want to know about her?
Like where she come from and
Now, it's a whole lot of different stories. That she was born in Mississippi and she came to Toledo, Ohio. That my mother was adopted.
Okay.
So therefore, like I said, she was adopted, and they've been here. She moved to St. Louis when your grandma and dad and my mother couldn't get along.
Okay.
So she moved here with the two oldest ones.
Okay.
Uncle Winfield, you might have mentioned here his
Okay.
name,
Yeah.
and Aunt Mary. They are Scott. So I can't really. All I could tell you what they dad's name. I can't tell you what her dad on that side of the family. I just
Okay.
know her father's name.
Okay. So, you said, in fact, because I think Grandma might have told me that she was from Mississippi or something
Who?
like that.
Big Mama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I was told growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like what okay, nothing about the Mississippi.
But I thought about. I asked my mom, why did you come to St. Louis for
Yeah.
real?
Okay.
You know why?
You remember what she told you?
Oh, she said it was a time. It was at a time that she needed to leave,
Okay.
and her adopted mother was here.
Okay.
So
Alright.
that's
Okay.
when she found out who her mother.
Now I got another question, and then I asked my I asked my grandpa about like segregation. Were you around during that time? Like the segregation period?
Well, it was too much here, and I can remember when my father
Okay.
took us down to Arkansas with
Okay.
when they were still saying yes ma'am and no ma'am, and
Okay.
but by me and my sister was born in St. Louis.
Okay.
That when we went to Arkansas, when we went to the store, in the white people's store, and we just said yeah and all, and they
Looking
looking
at
at us
y'all
crazy like and the owner said y'all not from here. They said no, we from St. Louis, and
Okay.
yes, sir. And if you ain't as old as I am, or
Okay.
whatever, that's what we, told them that we just, you're not
So
that.
St. Louis was a little different from Arkansas.
That's a little different because you couldn't speak your mind in Arkansas.
And you know what I noticed though, and then I noticed a lot of black people that's from St. Louis. They always like got some kind of roots back in Arkansas.
Oh yeah, I mean in the South, cause for like y'all for a long time, I thought she was born in. She said no, that the birth certificate whatever got mixed up that it on her. I think on my birth certificate saying that she was born in Mississippi.
Oh, you talking about on Fat or yours?
Huh?
You talking about on yours?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, cause I noticed that a lot of people like they go to Arkansas and they got family in Arkansas, and I wondered that, and I'm like I see because I always was told like I knew now I know my grandfather's side of the family come from
Memphis.
yeah, Memphis, and my grandmother's side of the family come from Mississippi. But I kind of knew that because my grandma told me that a while back. Like I was said, she was talking about how her mom was from Mississippi, and I don't remember. I don't know. She said Shreveport or something like that. I don't
Now
really know.
that I didn't know all on that on I think if I could on my birth certificate when I go through it so you can
Okay.
read the group
Okay.
and see what part. But all I said from Mississippi. Like
Okay.
it should have been some other name just said Mississippi.
Yeah, like
So
yeah, like Gulfport or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
like,
As far as like when I was talking to my grandfather, he told me like he used to go to Arkansas to pick cotton. That's what he told me, like on some sharecropping type things. Was that like common back then, or was that something that?
it was. We in from St. Louis. We didn't know nothing about
Okay.
picking
Okay.
on nobody picking
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
like I'm saying, they said they considered St. Louis was the South, but we wasn't like
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah.
Like they. Oh no, picking cotton.
So most of the people that lived in St. Louis, they kind of was a far removed from all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's interesting. So like, what would you say as far as like the big difference between like what used to go on, like how you grew up and now? What would you think like be like a big difference?
A big difference is that it's coming back to them since the police killing blacks off of that.
Okay.
It just wasn't a whole lot of lynching in St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
You want a tree hanger or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, they used to do that. That's why I want to find out as much about my family here that I can, because it's like for real, I really didn't know nothing, ain't it? You know what I mean?
I know.
Like, yeah.
They don't talk like each generation come, they don't talk like they sit around and talk back then. We knit quilts and things like that. They don't sit and talk.
And you know something else that I'd be thinking, like, because me and my brothers, we grew up in California for a lot of our younger years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, when we moved here, we was kind of like, I ain't gonna say like separated from the family, but it's like we knew the people that came around. Like we didn't grow up with a lot of people, So
right. That's the way it be.
And I appreciate you, Edmund, and like Chuck and everybody that did come around, because like the people that came around that used to help my mom and stuff like that, like those are the people that I know, And that's probably why I just don't know as much about the family, because like all through my younger years it was just me, my mom, and my brothers, and we stayed far away, you know what I mean? And then when I got a little older and we came here, well, we came around like when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that. So like I got time to learn the family, but I'd never like ask these type of questions to like right now, you know what I mean? I almost wish I could ask my grandma.
Right. You did, because your grandpa mother, she knew a lot. So like I said, they was all from the South.
Okay.
All from the South. Now I guess whatever happens that my mama came to her from Mississippi, she didn't too much talk about it.
Okay.
She didn't talk about it to me.
Yeah.
And but the older ones older than me, and in fact they know when they all them gone.
Yeah.
I left my charger at the house for my MacBook. I'm gonna go get my MacBook so everybody can see. Cause I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody know the troubles of when you I had the mic set up. Let me show you. I had the mic set up, everything, and then look, I cut on my MacBook and it's just nothing, just nothing. So this interview was it could have been what they call an unmitigated disaster, but I'ma just go off the cuff. So this is my grandfather, the Elder McDonald. Everybody know I'm Edward Thornton. This is Edward McDonald. So I wanna so I'm trying to figure out like, about my history as far as like how I got in St. Louis, and also just anything I can find out about the family that I really don't know much about. So Papa, can you start with telling me like as far back as you remember, as far as like maybe your grandfather, do you know like what city they came from, or where we always here in St. Louis?
Grandfather, my dad was in Memphis.
Okay.
My mother was in Memphis. They married in Memphis. And later my mother came to St. Louis, Missouri, and she lived right there. I think it was 1523 Bacon Street in St. Louis. We went to Nazarene Temple Church of God in Christ, which is on the corner of Bacon and North Market. And we went there for many, many years. And from there we lived, when we left Bacon, we lived in 1918 in Lapland.
Okay.
And there we went to Dunbar School, graduated from Dunbar School, went to Hadley Technical High School, and from there, Flow Valley. From there, graduated from the police department through St. Louis Highland Authority.
Okay.
Spent 13 weeks in the academy, ranked top 10 in the police academy, and from there, I married to grandmother.
Oh, grandmother. That's a good story. But you want to know what I kind of wanted to know? Like, I wanted to know, like, I guess, like, your parents, when they were living in Tennessee, like, what did they do out in Tennessee? Like, because, a lot of people say, like, it was, like, because, it was a whole different time then, so I wanted to know, like, more, like, what was, the climate in Memphis, and, like, what did they do out there?
In Memphis, my mother bought a house at 330 Hill Street.
Okay.
And we had a wood shed that we sold wood and coal and things out of that. And from there, my mother had about 7 sisters or so, and a brother. 2 brothers, I think it was. One name was Riley Gatt, and the other one named Gilbert Gatt.
Okay.
It's a long history there. It would take me a while
Yeah.
to go through all of that. But,
Okay.
from there, they bought that house. They sold that house, and my mother came to St. Louis to stay with one of her sisters.
Okay.
And her sister was named Ella Mae, what was it?
So where did the surname like McDonald come from? You know where that came from?
That came from my dad.
Okay.
His name was Eddie McDonald.
Okay. See,
And he married my mother, and her name became McDonald. My mother was married before she married my dad. She was married to what was his name? Mom was pretty active. We lived on Hill Street. A lot of folks don't know that we grew up with Elvis Presley. Used to play football and baseball.
Okay.
Right there when we was on Hill Street. They had a bakery up on Lane Street called Snyder's Bakery.
Okay.
And that's where Elvis Presley got his start, and he used to live on Concord Street, and we used to go up there. He used to play his guitar, but we never thought that he would be
Yeah, that's how it always
famous as
is.
what he is. We used to fight. Then play football and baseball, do things, gang fight each other.
Okay. So Elvis was just like a regular kid, just growing up around.
Yeah, growing up around us. We used to play football in Lauderdale Court, baseball on Hill Street and Lauderdale Court, all around through Memphis.
I got a question for you, Papa. This is gonna be now. This is kind of the heart of what I'm asking. Okay, you know how like they say segregation and now it's desegregation, right? So when you talking about during the segregation time or like the desegregation time?
Well, when you grow up the way that I grew up in 1941,
Okay.
and coming through when I was about 9 years old, we had to travel from Memphis to St. Louis.
Okay.
And there was a lot of restrictions. If people want to know about segregation and the do's and the don'ts,
Okay.
as we grew, you couldn't go through the front door of a white establishment to get something to eat. You had to go to the back door.
Okay.
That's even riding a Greyhound bus, on the train. You had to sit in the back of the train. Bus, you got off, you had to go to the back even to get your food. You couldn't even drink out of the same fountain in some place. Those are the type of things that we come up through. We used to from Memphis, we used to go to Arkansas, go there, pick cotton, pull cotton, chop cotton, and then we had a bus to take us over, and we come back to Memphis. There was a lot of things back there then. I think that your grandmother's brother, he was killed over there in West Memphis, Arkansas.
You never told me about that.
Yeah, he was a real good swimmer. He had to swim up to the top of a tank
Okay.
to drain the tank, and he went up there. They locked him in. Whites locked him in because of I think he was messing around with a white woman up there.
Dang, see, I be telling y'all wonder why I don't mess with no white girls. They get you in trouble.
He was killed because of that, I believe.
That's crazy. So rest in peace to my great uncle.
That was your grandmother's brother.
Okay. I got one more question, Papa, before I go. Now I want to ask this. Do you think that segregation was better for black people or worse? Because I heard it like during segregation we had our own economies and money stayed in the community, and now it's like money can't even stay in the community for like 5 seconds before it's leaving. So do you think like judging on how the way like the economy, like you said, they saw lumber and coal and probably made it, they was able to buy houses, you think that was better why this is better?
Well, what I see today, from what was happening back then, you had more type of a unity
Okay.
among blacks and whites. You couldn't go in a certain place, but when you went to stores, they knew everybody, and you could go in, get credit, and they would give you anything that you wanted because they knew that your word was your bond back then. They would come in when they got their checks and things or got paid, go in and pay them, and they kept extending credit. You could get anything that you wanted. People back then, they grew a lot of their food, vegetables and all of that. They canned food
Okay.
and stuff. But today, you have a dispensation of time where greed have come forth through the land, and the love of money have caused people, their love have waxed cold. The greed, the love of money, and this is what you got going on today. You got police officers back there then, they knew the people.
Okay.
They could walk through the neighborhood and they could see you doing wrong. They would take you to your parents. But today, police have gone to these academies. You got a different breed of police officers today. And I believe that a lot of police officers today is tied up with Klansmen, white knights, and skinheads. And they don't mind shooting black people.
Definitely.
Back there then, when I come out of the academy, it was against the law. Police officers never shot anybody in the back the way that they're doing today, and then being justified by the grand jury. It was not that way.
And look, I'm gonna tell you this: to end this, there's actually a protest going on right down the street right now because some people like was choking some young black kids at their store for just trying to patronize the store and recording as they was doing it. So